Welcome back to the Sense of Life podcast. I'm Joe,
I'm Cody.
and today we've got what is almost certainly going to be the shortest episode ever, and probably for the rest of time.
This is going to be the minimalist podcast.
Yeah. So we were originally scheduling the Dune episode for this week, but things happened, and now that has been moved to next week.
Yes, it's still coming. I've got 53 pages left.
Yeah. I also had a crisis trying to actually get to the fucking movie theater. There was a storm where I live, so the roads were not safe, and it's like a 45-minute drive from where I live to the nearest movie theater. So I was like, I don't want to drive in the middle of the night, or not in the middle of the night. It would be the middle of the night by the time the movie was done.
Yeah. I think I've briefly told the story of when I went to see The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smog.
Oh. Yeah, might as well tell this story. It'll bump up the runtime.
Yeah. There was this blizzard out, and I went with two friends. I was like 16. It's sophomore year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And just giant blizzard, and we went through this like Tolkien trek in the car to get there for the movie.
Yeah.
I have a few, at least two stories of driving through a snowstorm to get to a movie.
Yeah.
There is just growing up in the Midwest. The other one I remember, we were trying to remember if turning on the heat or the cold would dissipate the fog on the windshield faster. Yeah, and we decided to go with cold because the idea is to equalize the temperature, so that because the reason the fog is there is the hot air on the outside is fogging up the cold air on the outside, inside to outside, something like that. I don't know. It eventually worked.
Okay.
Yeah. That's that story.
Yeah. And what a movie to be going to deal with a fucking snowstorm, because apparently I've seen The Desolation of Smog, and I say apparently because I literally couldn't remember for the longest time if I had seen that movie or not. Like, I knew for a fact that I had watched the first Hobbit movie, but I couldn't remember if I had seen the second one, and I knew for a fact I had not seen the third. But
they're all bad, by the way.
Yeah.
Just want to make that clear.
there is like some atmosphere at the beginning of whatever the fuck the first Hobbit movie is called. I don't remember.
The Unexpected Journey or something?
Something like that, yeah. An Unexpected Journey or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It's the shortest Lord of the Rings book, and it was split into 3 movies.
Right. And they didn't need to do that, shockingly.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, the first, like, the opening bit where he's in the Shire has some, like, charm to it, but the rest of the movie is just kind of shit. And the movies just get worse from there. I suppose I should actually comment on what we're talking about this episode, because we haven't even said.
Maybe, yeah.
So,
sure.
Kind of like a last minute thing, because of the delays with the Dune stuff. We watched 2 movies by a Japanese. You call him like a shock jock director?
Yeah, kinda.
Koji Shiraishi. He makes like pretty low budget, like, exploitation horror films and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what
bad
things
movies.
Yeah. Also known as not very good movies. And
there's 2 that I'm still interested in seeing, Noroi and this movie called like Hypervillain or something.
Okay.
Hypervillain is I heard I think his name is Ryan Jackson. He's a mutual of mine on Twitter. He was, I think he was on Agitator, and he was talking about this movie, Hypervillain, that is like, it's kind of like this documentary style that Shiraishi uses mostly in the first movie we'll talk about today, A Record of Sweet Murder. And it's from the perspective of this like serial rapist going out and raping women. I don't know. That's all I know about it. And the other one is Noroi the Curse. He mainly does this kind of like low budget mockumentary, documentary horror found footage thing, which is a genre I kind of hate, but I was intrigued because I think it was their recent Agitator episode. Kelby was talking about A Record of Sweet Murder with a guest there, and they made it sound really good, and I agreed with them for about the first 30 minutes of the movie. And then I just had to not and part ways on the opinion there.
Yeah, that movie came out on September 11th, 2014 in South Korea, so that was their 9/11 because this movie fucking blows. It's just not good. I mean, I suppose if you watched it and Grotesque back to back, you would consider a Record of Sweet Murder to be a masterpiece.
And these are the only two movies you saw?
These are the only two. Yeah, I suppose you have to you're living in a bizarre world where you have no idea what a movie is, and someone puts on Grotesque and A Record of Sweet Murder as your first films.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is movie? This is what a movie is?
Movie?
Yeah, showing it to a caveman.
Reminds me of a story that Eli Roth told about when he made the Green Inferno.
Yeah,
they used some actual native tribesmen in deep in the Amazon jungle,
right,
in the film, and they had no idea what a movie was.
Yeah,
and so they had to show them what a movie was, and so he asked the producer or whatever, was like, "What'd you show him? Wizard of Oz, Jaws, something like that?" They're like, no, we showed him Cannibal Holocaust. That's what
good.
we're doing.
That'll educate them on cinema.
And he was like, really? Why? And he's like, they're like, well, it's the thing we're doing, because Green Inferno is basically a remake of Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
And two, they thought it was a comedy. The kids were all laughing.
Oh. That's that's unfortunate.
So yeah, maybe show some uncivilized children Grotesque and see what happens.
Yeah, that's just your daily reminder of what it's like to step 5 feet out of civilized land, is that they find Cannibal Holocaust to be funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cannibal Holocaust is an actually good movie, by the
way. Sure. Grotesque was not.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Grotesque first, or what? Because I think I have almost nothing to say about it.
Yeah, okay, here's the discussion about Grotesque. It sucks, it's bad, it's a Saw ripoff, and it's not good.
Yeah, it's a Saw ripoff where it's like a vague recollection. If you watched Saw when it came out in theaters and were shocked by it, and then waited 20 years, and you thought, what was Saw about again? This is the kind of movie you would make, not remembering that Saw actually has other things going for it than... I mean, the first Saw doesn't even really have that much explicit, graphic violence. Yeah. It's all implied, and it works. This just has, a doctor who cuts a guy's dick off. And
yeah, a doctor who looks suspiciously like Takeshi Kitano.
Yeah, he looks like Takeshi Kitano if he had no soul.
Yeah. And no wit.
No offense to Shigeo Osako, the guy that played him. You just happen to look like a soulless Takeshi Kitano. An undead, risen from the dead Takeshi Kitano.
Yeah, I hope he's listening to this episode with, Google Translate nearby to figure out what we're saying about him.
He hears us talking about him, and he says, "Nani, the fuck did you just say?"
and then we are, walking down the street, and then some, van pops up.
He hits us with a hammer.
Hits us with a hammer.
Yeah, this entire movie is this brand, this couple that has just started dating are attacked by this guy, and he just puts them through torture.
Yeah,
not because of any particular thing about them or any reason at all. It's literally just he gets pleasure from torturing people.
Yeah,
and there's this weird middle bit where he's like, "Oh, congratulations, you made me feel something, so I'm going to let you live." So he has them like chained to hospital beds, because this guy's also a doctor as well. Like besides torturing them, he like nurses them back to health. And there's like this weird middle section where like they're just kind of sitting in these hospital beds, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll turn myself in, and all this other shit, and then he at the end he's like, psych, just kidding.
LOL, JK.
You have to do this silly bullshit again. Silly being not an appropriate word for what happens, but you know.
Yeah. What were you saying? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say the final like bit of torture he puts them through is like just kind of lame.
Yeah.
He's like, haha, I'm going to cut your stomach open and hook your intestine to this hook, and you have to walk across the room with scissors and cut her ropes free, and if you do that, I'll let you live, or I'll let her live. Because it's like, I guess the guy is just going to die, but if he can cut her ropes, she'll live. And then he does it, but as he's cutting through her ropes, there's like a wire in the middle of the rope. So like, how the fuck do you cut through a wire with scissors? So the dude was basically like just setting them up to fail. And at this point, we were like, we nearly gave up when there were 20 minutes left. It was like, do we want to continue watching this? And
we entered a suicide pact, at which point, after this episode uploads, Joe and I will be gone.
This is I will be. Cody will be stabbing himself in the stomach, and I will be cutting his head off with a katana. And then after that, I will also be stabbing myself in the stomach. Although I
have one of those I have one of those like Suicide Squad heart monitors where like my brain explodes right when I die.
Oh, okay.
So it kills you too.
Oh, good.
So just I'm the only one that has to suffer this time.
Good.
I'm the one getting my dick chopped off.
Yeah, foul
and grotesque.
Yeah, there's a part where he cuts the guy's dick off in this, and it ain't good. He also like there's like a 5-minute straight sequence of him like licking this woman and fingering her. And then he jacks the guy off. It's just it's awful. It's not even
really bad. Like it's not scary. It's not like it's not grotesque. It's not interesting. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Like.
There is no tension at all. You're not like wincing at the violence. You're just kind of like, oh, that's happening. I don't like that. That sucks.
Yeah. Like I've seen a Serbian film,
right.
And like that one is like actually good. Like it's a decent movie. Like it works.
The only thing this movie has going for it, and it's the reason why your review on Letterboxd went from 0.5 star to 1 star, was that, I mean, I guess before we get to that, when the girl realizes that she's not going to live, she tells the doctor guy that's been torturing them the entire movie that he stinks, that he has body odor. And he's
stinky.
He also has like a bad sense of smell, so he doesn't know that he stinks. And it's like I don't know if that was supposed to be like a twist as to why nobody wanted to hang out with him, and that's why he has to do this depraved shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like the most lame final act of defiance you could conceivably imagine for a movie where a character is about to die. Where like the last thing they do is they're like, you stink and your mom's a whore and she stinks. It's like, really? Like that's your final act of defiance? Is to just tell the guy he smells? And then he cuts her head off.
Yeah.
And this was the reason why you gave it a 1 star. Because her head flies off and her severed head flies up and then back down and lands on his shoulder and bites his neck.
Yeah.
She like takes a bite out of his jugular. As some sort of like headless act of defiance.
The dying dude also stabs him in like the
Achilles
foot,
or with his with the scissors.
which is a Hostel reference, but Hostel did it better.
Yeah.
The guy getting his dick chopped off is a Hostel 2 reference. Hostel 2 did it better. Yeah, just watch like the actual torture porn movies that came out in the early 2000s. Don't watch the ripoffs.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain. I would have to imagine Hostel is longer than 73 minutes.
It's about 90 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, this movie is 73 minutes, and it felt like
the
longest.
100.
It felt like the longest fucking movie we've ever watched on the like. I think watching fucking Copenhagen Cowboy felt like it went by faster, and that was a fucking 6 or 7 episode miniseries.
Yeah, it's like this was like every time I look at the Amazon Prime entry for Too Old to Die Young, and I think maybe I'll watch that someday, but it's like it's so long. That's what this movie felt like, just watching it. And I kept checking the time on Tubi, and like I'm streaming it in the Discord so Joe can see me doing this. I'm checking this like every 2 minutes. I'm like, yep, it's still going. This is a movie. Someone made it.
Yeah,
don't watch it. It's on Tubi. Don't watch it.
Yeah, don't bother. It's 73 minutes that you could spend watching a portion of any other movie out there.
Literally pull up like porn on your laptop and enter the Goon Cave. You will have a better 73 minutes than watching this fucking movie.
Yeah, it very bad. Not I would.
Yeah. Right before we started recording, I said it was like this might be the worst movie we've ever watched for the podcast, and Joe was like, "This is absolutely the worst movie we've ever watched."
Without a doubt, like, the worst.
There's no question.
There's no question in my mind that this is the worst movie we've ever watched for this. And
what's the number 2 spot?
Fuck, I don't even. So the problem is, like, I have the shittiest memory of all time, so I don't even remember half of the shit that we've watched. I mean, if you were to tell me, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, we did watch that."
I guess Friday the 13th, maybe.
Friday the 13th Part 2 is basically Grotesque if Friday the 13th Part 2 had all of the flashback scenes that were pointless to pad the runtime removed.
Yeah.
Like, they're both very short and yet very shitty, long-feeling movies.
Yeah, so I think number, like, worst is Grotesque. Second worst has to be Friday the 13th or Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah, I mean,
and then third is probably A Record of Sweet Murder, which we will talk about next.
Yeah. I mean, Friday the 13th is also, I mean, as Grotesque is derivative of Hostel, which is derivative of Saw. Friday the 13th is derivative of Halloween. Yeah. In the whole like slasher thing.
But you could say Halloween is derivative of Black Christmas, which is kind of derivative. That word.
Yeah.
Of Psycho.
Yeah. There's a long chain of things, but I guess the point being that this link in the chain sucks.
Yeah. This
leads nowhere.
This in the Human Centipede, watching this movie is like being the middle guy.
Yeah.
That's 18 minutes of one movie.
Yeah. You know what? This might not be that short.
We can be haters.
A Record of Sweet Murder. This movie, the beginning of it was kind of interesting. I will say it kept with its found footage thing throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. I do have one complaint about at least that style of the movie as it's done in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm kind of skipping to the end here, but at one point the main guy who's kind of like gone crazy is...
Oh, you mean the murderer or the cameraman that was somewhat like believing the murderer by the end?
The murderer.
Okay.
The murderer, he eventually takes the camera.
Yeah.
And because like the camera gets set down, and there's some kind of disconnect between like the camera getting set down from the cameraman who's played by Koji Shiraishi and the murderer picking up the camera. I remember just feeling like I think at this point the movie kind of had gone off the deep end, and I was like, what's happening? So maybe that's just like a whole problem with the movie in general. But I will say the first half of it I enjoyed. I liked the kind of like aggressively realist style, and how it basically looks like a YouTube video.
But it looked like a fan film, or like a YouTube film, I guess.
Like a web series, like they used to do.
Yeah. It has a Japanese porn star in it.
Yeah.
That was one of the only other
silver linings
things. I went to the Wikipedia for it, and there were 3 names in the cast that had like a hyperlink thing that you could go to their profile, or their like they actually have a Wikipedia article. And one of them, it just says AV Idol. So
yeah, shout out to that. So the first half, I like the setup. I like the. So what is the setup?
I like the setup. What is the setup again? The reporter lady is like childhood friends with this murderer guy.
Yeah.
And I guess he like sent her a letter or something. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, he sends her a letter, or he contacts her somehow. He's just got let out of this mental institution, and he's brought her to this apartment where he wants to kill I think he wants to kill 7 people. I think it's 7. 7 is just kind of a Bible number.
I thought he killed like 20 something people before that.
Oh yeah, it was like 24 or something.
He killed a bunch of people, and then
he
brought her there, and he's like, he was showing her like schizo ramblings on the newspaper where he was like circling the first character of every line, and he was like spelling out a message from God telling him to kill 2 Japanese people. Because like this movie is a Japanese Korean Korean cast mostly. I guess there's a half Korean, half Japanese cast, and the director is Japanese. It's like he has to kill 2 Japanese people, and the 2 Japanese people that show up are this porn star and this dude who looks like fucking the hell's his name? Toshihiro Nagoshi of Sega.
Yeah.
Toshihiro Nagoshi post Yakuza, by the way, where like he had the fucking blonde hair and shit. He looked like fucking he looked like he was a bit of like a street thug.
Yeah.
But he's actually just a game designer. I just sent you a picture of what I'm referring to. I might put it in the video at this point. Like, that's what the character looked like.
Jesus Christ. Oh God. Oh God. Got a frog in my throat there. Sorry.
Yeah. We're not editing it out. This episode.
We need all the time we can get.
Yeah. We gotta get the laughing, the coughing, the background noise. We're not changing any of it.
This is avant-garde, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like about at least the first part of this movie is, for a kind of found footage thing, I've only seen a couple found footage movies. I haven't seen Blair Witch yet. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Mm-hmm.
But from the ones I've seen, I notice a kind of lack of like staging of actors, which kind of makes sense given the like genre of like just a bunch of like weird imagery. But I did notice that there was a distinct like geometry to the different scenes of like where rooms are.
Sure.
I didn't feel lost inside the apartment in any way.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
For the first 30 minutes or so.
besides like the opening shot where they're out on the street and the very end of the movie, it's essentially all in like one central room and like a little hallway that goes down to like a balcony, and that's it. Like it's and there's probably some like cleverly hidden cuts in some parts. I'm sure if I were to like watch with the intent of looking for hidden cuts, I would find them. But it genuinely did feel like one long continuous shot, which was cool, I guess. It's just kind of a shame that nothing seemed to matter the entire movie. It's like there's this guy having schizo ramblings, and then the Japanese people show up, and they're like just as freaky as this guy. Like, if not, it's like this movie portrays Koreans as psychopathic murderers and Japanese people as perverts. But I think I said that when we watched it. Ugh.
Spot the lie.
Yeah, spot the lie.
Shout out to the Koreans. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Well, half of you, I guess.
Yeah. Not sure about those other ones.
Yeah, the ones I can't see on a map.
Those East Koreans.
East. East? I thought you said West.
Yeah. Like I'm struggling to find things to say about this movie, because essentially it's just like characters almost killing each other and then not killing each other.
Yeah, that's the big, like, it's a big problem, I think, with the second half of the movie is, one, just a lack of clarity in character motivation, and I'm usually not like one of those like plot cells type to like watch a movie with, but
a script-pilled plot cell.
Script-pilled plot cell. Virgin writer versus Chad director,
yeah.
But you got to give me something, and there's just nothing.
The second half of this movie is essentially the killer has the upper hand on everyone, then the Japanese guy has the upper hand on him, then the killer has the upper hand again, and there's like no one just decisively killing someone.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's plenty of moments, like clear opportunities that like any rational person would take to kill this person. And you could say, well, maybe they're like freaking out or something. It's like, it doesn't really seem like that. It seems like it's like those video games where like the Batman games where like the thugs are just like waiting in the background to throw a punch.
Yeah, it's an enemy AI thing where they're just waiting their turn to fight.
Yes, yeah.
It's just not good. And like
at some point, like we find out that the god thing was real, but it's like an elder, like Lovecraft god.
I think I shouted.
I think you said "fuck you."
Yeah, I said "fuck you." Yeah, the movie basically ends in like a Reservoir Dogs thing where everyone kills everyone else in this one random just this. It made sense in Reservoir Dogs when everyone, like, there was like the big standoff at the end, everyone's dead. But in this, it's like, for some reason, the reporter lady is killing the other, like the Japanese porn star lady, and then the camera guy hits the Japanese guy with a bat or with a cleaver, and the killer stabs the cameraman. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't understand why within the span of like an hour of your lifetime, like if you were a normal human being and you were like, oh, I'm going to interview this person that I knew when I was a kid, and within that time frame of like an hour, you go from you need to stop killing people, this is crazy, to slitting someone's throat for seemingly no reason. Like, what the fuck is happening? It's just bizarre. Nothing made sense. And then he, as you said, it turns out that God was commanding this guy to kill like 27 people or something his entire motivation is basically his friend when he was a kid, got run over by a car. And he wants to bring her back, and God is telling him to kill all these people, and that'll bring her back. And there's like a shot at the end of the movie where the camera, the killer guy holding the camera points it out at like the skyline, and you see all the clouds kind of become like CGI and swirl around, and that's when I said fuck off or fuck you.
Yeah.
I was like,
and then the Cthulhu tentacles came out of the sky and wrapped around the camera, and then time travel.
Yeah,
and some other shit happened.
The movie ends with schizophrenia is real. You know that fucking Sopranos meme where they edit? It's like 90% of gamblers give up right before they win big.
Yeah.
It's just that it's like 90% of schizos stop killing right before the elder gods grant them their wishes. Like that's this movie, because it seems to be like the lesson learned was, oh, he was right to kill all those people because it sent him back in time to stop his friend from getting killed, and then created a new timeline where him and that friend are now boyfriend and girlfriend when they're adults, and that's the entire movie.
Yeah.
And like after he stops her from getting hit by the car, he gets hit by the car, and then the camera like flies through space and time to the alternate timeline where him and the reporter lady and his friend that was killed when she was a kid are all adults and hanging out together.
Yeah.
And then the movie just kind of ends, and it's like that sucks.
Yeah. Went from an interesting premise and kind of holding on to it for 30 minutes to 100% butt fucking sane, but like bad.
Yeah, I think I might have to make that meme, either that or the 90% of schizos stop killing right before the elder gods grant them their deepest desires. Either that is the thumbnail, or it's just Mr. Krabs smelling the anchovies because of the guy with the body odor in Grotesque. It's got to be one of those. We're now including the behind the scenes decision of what the thumbnail is going to be to pad out the runtime.
This is the Snyder cut of the episode.
Nothing in these movies really works to hold it together as a total experience of watching a movie.
I will say that with A Record of Sweet Murder, mostly like for the opposite reasons of something like Shinjuku Triad Society or the Pusher movies, it does make me think, I think I could do that, but like better.
Yeah,
maybe.
So with Shinjuku Triad and Pusher, it's like if you were just out on the streets, like that's the kind of movie you watch that and you're like, I think this is a kind of movie that I could make.
Yeah.
But in a good way, and this is like I could make this.
This is like I can make this and maybe like coherent.
Yeah.
So, I think A Record of Sweet Murder is worth watching out of just curiosity, because it does have half good and like as an idea of like how you could make a movie shot with today's digital cameras look interesting for 30 minutes.
I do like how both of these movies kind of have like a jump the shark moment, where like one has a head that has been severed biting a guy, and the other one is like elder gods are real.
Yeah, and they both have the opposite effect. The jump the shark moment in Grotesque makes the movie like, oh, there's something.
Yeah, that's the only scene I lost my mind.
Yeah, and then in A Record of Sweet Murder, it turns the movie from to, oh, this is gay.
What the fuck?
So yeah, Koji Shiraishi. Hopefully Noroi and Hypervillain are good.
Yeah,
I'll eventually get around to them.
He apparently
probably
also
won't
did a
cover
movie
them for the
called
podcast,
Sadako versus Kayako.
Yeah, it's like The Grudge versus The Ring or whatever.
It is the horror fans, the J horror fans version of Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah,
but it's just two dead girl ghosts fighting each other.
Yeah, I feel like there's a porn of that.
Putting this fucking. How sad must your existence be to be out there watching The Ring porn? Guess it's better than torturing people.
Yeah.
But then
there
again,
are worse ways to spend your time, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like watching Koji Shiraishi's Grotesque.
Yeah. Awful movie. It was shorter than, because A Record of Sweet Murder was also quite a short movie. It was 86 minutes. Yeah. Both of these are sub hour and a half films.
Yeah, which is merciful.
Yeah, it is merciful, because I don't know what a Koji Shiraishi film that is 3 hours long would be like, but I can't imagine it would be something I'd want to watch.
I feel like that's like breaking some kind of international law for Koji Shiraishi to make a movie longer than 80 minutes. Oh wait, his movie Occult is 110 minutes.
Yeah, and Sadako vs. Kayako is 98. Also, apparently that film was originally teased as an April Fool's joke, but was then confirmed to be real on December 10th of that year. So it's like in April they were like, wouldn't this be funny? And then Koji Shiraishi's like, let me cook, I'm gonna do it. And they're like, you know what, you make shit, let's do it.
Yeah. So I have heard good things about Noroi, Occult, and Cult.
Okay.
That's Occult, Occult, and Cult, Cult.
Okay.
But yeah, we did not watch those, so I can't say anything about them. But we did watch these. One sucked, one's kind of interesting, but also bad. Yeah, that's Sense of Life, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say on this.
We'll be back next week with Dune. We're talking about Dune, Your Mom.
Yeah,
and
that will be. I think it will be a significantly longer episode, because we're doing the Lynch Dune, we're doing both the Villeneuve movies, and we're doing the book. So
yeah,
that is going to, I think, hopefully make up for this.
Hopefully,
this impromptu delay episode being much like the movies they're based on, not that good.
Yeah. And if you're looking ahead after that, we're going to talk about a couple Jackie Chan movies after the Dune episode.
That's right.
So that'll be a good time. Hopefully those movies are good. I'm sure they are. And
yeah,
I don't know.
The Orient has got a grip on us. We couldn't let go. I'm still hanging on to that bit from the fucking. What did I say with the fucking going back to the land of the rising sun?
Yeah,
because
and we're back again.
Yeah, we
getting our nipples cut off.
We're staying in Asia, and then we're briefly going to space Middle East, and then we're going right back to.
We're converting to Islam for a week, and then coming back to the land of the rising sun.
Yeah, we're going back to China this time.
Yeah, so I guess not the land of the rising sun.
Yeah, no. China is
China.
Yeah, in Japan, China is called middle country.
More like mid country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back next week.
Yeah, see you next time.